Good morning, majors. Today we're going to go over Unit 7, Day 5 notes. And then this is going to be the last set of notes that you're going to have for this chapter. We're going to go over the angles of elevation and the angles of depression. So what's really important is that you remember your sine, cosine, tangent ratios. And we're going to define what an angle of elevation is and what the angle of depression is. So they're going to be equal. The angle of elevation, when somebody is looking up, it's going to be between the, it says between the horizontal and an ascending line. So it's going to be between the sight, the line of sight, and always the horizontal line. So this is going to be my angle of elevation going up, right? Depression means going down. Also, it's going to be between the line of sight and the horizontal line again, right? You guys see that horizontal line is in both. So this is going to be the angle of depression when we're going down, when we're looking down. A lot of people like to draw a triangle right here, right? And then when they look at our angle of depression, they put it right here, but it's not. We can also, since these are going to be parallel lines, this horizontal line is parallel to the ground. And if you want to use this bottom triangle, you have to understand that your angle you're talking about is right here, actually. Okay? So these two are equal. These two are not equal, definitely. Okay, so let's try an example. It says the angle of depression from the top of a cliff, 800 meters high. So this is 800 meters high to the base of a log cabin is 37 degrees. So the bottom of the log cabin is this angle of depression is 37 degrees. How far is the cabin from the foot of the cliff? How far is this cabin to the foot of the cliff? So they're asking us for this bottom part right here. What is this? Foot of the cliff. Not the top of the cliff, but the foot. So what is this length right here? So remember, if this right here is 37 degrees, we can put it down here. This is also 37 degrees. And we can use this right triangle on the bottom. This 800 is already filled in for me. So remember, I'm going to use sine, cosine, tangent. My first step is to circle my reference angle. My reference angle in this case is 37. I'm going to write SOHCAHTOA up here because I can't see it. It's on the top of my paper. I hope you guys have it on your paper. You should see your whole paper though. So my first step is to circle my reference angle. My second step is to label my sides. I'm only going to label the two sides that I have information on, either a variable or a number. So my opposite side is the side that does not touch my angle. This is my opposite side. And X is my adjacent side because my hypotenuse is this one. I'll label it in red, but I'm not going to put hypotenuse there because I don't need it. I need my adjacent side. Okay, so I need to know which trig function uses the opposite and the adjacent. So O and A. O and A. O and A, tangent. So we're going to say tangent of the degrees. In our case, we circled 37 degrees equals opposite comes first. Opposite, which our opposite side is 800, divided by adjacent, and our adjacent side is x. So remember our trig function, we're always going to put over 1. We're going to cross multiply. 1 times 800 is 800. Equal sign. X times tangent of 37 is just x tangent of 37. And whenever we have a number multiplied by your x, to get rid of it, to get x by itself, we're going to divide by that number. In this case, it's tangent of 37. Just divide by tangent of 37. And we're going to get x equals 800 divided by tangent of 37. So I'll show you how to plug it into the calculator. 800 divided by tangent of 37. So remember, we're using division. The division. So we're going to put 800. Oops. 800 divided by tangent of 37. equals 1061. I don't know what they want us to round it to. It doesn't say. So I'm going to put 1061.6. X equals, or the base equals 1061.6 meters. I think everything's in meters, right? This has a little m. So instead of feet, we're talking about meters. Alrighty, guys, we're done. We're not asked for the hypotenuse, so we're done. Let's look at number 2. The angle of elevation, so this is looking up, from a radar antenna to an airplane is 5 degrees. The antenna is 10 meters above the ground. The altitude of the plane is 112 meters. So the altitude, that means going straight up and down, is 112 meters. Find the line of sight, X, from the antenna to the plane. Okay. So first we're going to solve for X. So my first step is to circle my reference angle, which is 5 degrees. It's 5. My second step is to label my sides. My opposite side is going to be, well, the whole thing is 112, but this part right here is 10. So we're going to have to subtract it, and we're going to get 102, right? We got to put opposite right next to it. My hypotenuse is X. They're asking us for X first. And that makes this right here my adjacent side, but they're not really asking us that yet. Okay, so they'll ask us that in part B. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover up Y with our hand. We're going to cover up this side with our hand. And we're looking for the opposite and the hypotenuse. So let's look at which trig function uses opposite and hypotenuse. We know this is sine. So sine of what degrees? 5 degrees equals, opposite comes first on sine. It starts O's first, so opposite is 102 divided by hypotenuse, which is our X. Remember, we're going to put a 1 underneath our trig function, and we're going to cross multiply. 1 times 102 is 102. X times sine of 5 is just X sine of 5. And then anytime we have something multiplied by a variable, we divide by it, sine of 5 in this case, to get X by itself. So X equals 102 is on top, divided by sine of 5. And luckily we have our calculator. We can just plug this into the calculator. 102 divided by sine of 5. Right? Look at your paper. I don't need this. 102 divided by sine of 5. This is a division sign, which means hopefully in your calculator you guys put a divided by and not multiplied by. If you got this wrong, you probably put multiplied by. Or make sure your mode is in degrees. Okay? Even on your iPhone or your smartphone, it will have a radian and a degree. So you're going to have to change it to degrees. So X equals, what did I get? 1170.3. 1170.3. Okay? And it looks like I'm in meters. Find the distance Y from the antenna directly below the plane, okay? Or to the base of this triangle. So we're trying to find this side. So what side is Y on? If we have the hypotenuse and the opposite, the only side I'm missing is the adjacent side. In this case, what we're going to do is we're going to cover up our other variable. We're going to cover up X. We're going to cover this up. And we're going to see what trig function uses adjacent. I'm sorry, this is our X. So we're going to cover up the hypotenuse. So which trig function uses adjacent and opposite? Because this has our number, and this is now our new variable for part B. So our trig function that uses adjacent and opposite, look up here, adjacent and opposite, no. Adjacent, yes, but opposite, no. So tangent is the only one that doesn't have hypotenuse, opposite and adjacent. So tangent, remember the opposite side goes first. So I'm going to write that down. Tangent of what degrees? 5 degrees equals opposite side goes first, which is 102, over the adjacent side, which is y. I don't know what y is. We're going to always put a 1 under our trig function, and we're going to cross multiply. 1 times 102 is 102. Y times tangent of 5 is y tangent of 5. Divide each side by whatever's multiplied by your variable. So in this case, we're going to divide both sides by tangent of 5. And I'm going to get y equals 102 divided by tangent of 5. And we'll just plug this into my calculator. 102 divided by tangent of 5 is 1,165 point. This 6 rounds the 8 up to a 9. So 1,165.9. 1,160, what did I say, 5.9 meters. Okay, and you're done. Okay, let's try this. A lighthouse operator at point P, right here, 25 meters above the sea level, sights a sailboat at point S. So this is my line of sight. I'm going down. The angle of depression is 10 degrees. How far is the boat from the base? This word base of the lighthouse means on the bottom, right here. The bottom of the lighthouse to the sailboat. So they kind of already put in your X, which is really nice. We need to fix this angle. This angle, this degrees up here is for this top triangle, and you can put everything into the top triangle, but I want everything to be in the bottom one. So remember that this one is equal to this one, not to this. This is not 10 degrees. You can tell that they're very different. But this is 10 degrees. So everything now is into my bottom triangle. I'm going to make this 90 degrees. I can always assume that's going to be a 90 degrees. My first step is to circle my reference angle. My second step is to label my sides. My opposite side, the side that doesn't touch S, is going to be the 25 side. So I'm going to write opposite next to it. And my adjacent side is going to be the side that is X in this case. It's touching S, but it's not my hypotenuse. So adjacent. And I'm not labeling my hypotenuse because there's no variable on that hypotenuse. And there's no numbers to help me. So I don't need it. So I'm going to write SOHCAHTOA for you. SOHCAHTOA. And we need to decide which trig function uses the things that we have are the opposite side and the adjacent side. So we're going to go opposite and adjacent, no. Opposite and adjacent, no. Opposite and adjacent, yes. So we know it's tangent of the degrees, 10 degrees, equals, in tangent, we need opposite side first, which is 25, over adjacent side, which is X. Remember, we're going to put our trig function over 1, and we're going to cross multiply. 1 times 25 is 25. X times tangent of 10 is just X tangent of 10. And now we're going to always divide by the number that's multiplied by your variable, which in this case is tangent of 10. Divide by tangent of 10. And this is going to cancel. We're going to be left with X equals 25 divided by tangent of 10. All right, so let's get out our calculator. I'm going to show you how to plug it in. We have 25 on top. Don't forget, we're going to divide in this case, division, and then tangent of 10. And we're getting X equals 141 point. The 8 turns the 7 into an 8. We round up. So X equals, what did I say? 141.8, 141.8, I hope. And that is meters. You're done. That's it. That's all they asked us for. So it's also good practice to find out what they're asking us for. It's really important. It says, solve the triangle by finding the missing sides and angles. If necessary, round to the nearest tenth for the sides and to the nearest whole number for the angles. We really like whole number. So it says solve the triangle. Okay, so we need to find the other angle in this triangle first. Okay, we can use our inverse sine, cosine, tangent if you want. After we find another angle, we need one more side. We need one more side. But since we have two angles, I can find a third angle pretty easily. Since they all add up to be 180, or since this is 90, I know these two have to be 90. They're complementary angles. So let's do that. What is 90 minus 41? Let's plug that into our calculators. 90 minus 41 is 49. So this right here is 49 degrees. The measure of angle B, that's how you read that, M is measure of angle B, is 49 degrees. So we're done with our angles. Those are whole numbers. We're okay. Now we need our side lengths. It doesn't matter which angle you choose to be your reference angle as long as you don't pick C. We cannot have 90 degrees as a reference angle. So I'm going to pick 41 because they gave us that first. A is going to be my reference angle. My first step is to label to circle my reference angle. My second step is to label my sides. My opposite side to A is BC. So I'm going to write opposite there, and I'm going to give it a variable. I'm going to say X because I chose that one first. My hypotenuse is always the biggest side, and it's opposite that 90-degree angle. So this is my hypotenuse. I'm going to try to always make it red, and that makes this side the only one I have left. That is Y, and that is my adjacent side. That's the only thing I have left. Okay. So we can't choose to solve for both X and Y at the same time. We're going to have to cover up one. I'm going to choose to cover up Y, and I'm going to solve for X first. So cover up Y with your hand, cover up this whole side with your hand, and we're looking at X, which is my opposite side, and 32, which is my hypotenuse. Which trig function, SOHCAHTOA, which trig function uses opposite and hypotenuse? Opposite and hypotenuse. We have sine. So sine of our degrees, which in our case we chose 41, we circled it, equals, sine says opposite comes first, which is X, over hypotenuse, which our hypotenuse is 32. Remember, we're going to always divide it by 1. 1 times X is X. Sine of 41 times 32 is just 32 sine of 41. You can never multiply the 41 times 32. It is not sine times 41, it's sine of 41. So plug this into your calculator and you'll find BC, and then you need to set up another ratio, cover up X, and solve for Y. Okay. I want you guys to finish 1 and 2 before class tomorrow. Have a great night.